I had a very brief relationship with a woman named Carla that resulted in the birth of my now pre-tween son, Ashton. I'm gay and had never been with a woman. In fact, I'd never even kissed one until I met Carla. She'd just gotten a divorce from her husband, Chris, because he wanted kids and she didn't. My relationship with Carla didn't last and confirmed that I'm definitely gay. We were both shocked that she got pregnant though. We agreed to co-parent and signed a custody agreement that pretty much splits custody. Also, there's a first right of refusal in that agreement. Carla and Chris reconciled and remarried when Ashton was a preschooler. Personally, I like Chris. He's very good to my son. My son hugs and kisses him just as much as he does me. Chris doesn't turn down any chance to spend time with Ashton. I don't have to worry about Ashton if Chris is there because he'll get him where he needs to get, bathe him, feed him, and he has endless patience. I like that my son has these hands-on male caretakers. Carla was scheduled to have Ashton from Thursday to Sunday of this week. She mentioned that her cousin was in hospice and she was flying to another state to be with her. I said, "You can't take Ashton out of state without my written consent." She said she wasn't taking him. Chris was going to watch him. I told her that this was news to me. We agreed that if either of us was unavailable, then the other parent needed to be notified and given the option to pick up more custody time. I'm obviously not going to turn down more time with my kid. She said that Chris had planned a 4-day vacation to a water park. I said, "I don't care." She said, "You know what? Talk to him then. I've got enough on my plate right now." So I did, and Chris said he didn't see the big deal and joked there wasn't enough Ashton to go around. He then seriously suggested that I become a big brother so that he could spend more time with Ashton. I told him he got me messed up and now I'm cancelling this water park trip. He told me he was joking, but he wasn't. Then he asked me to go, parent another kid so he could parent mine. I was taken aback by it. So Ashton is with me and I feel bad for Chris. I really do, but between that comment and not going through me when Carla was going out of town just angered me. I feel like I've been too nice. Am I the idiot for cancelling a weekend plan after I was told to mentor another kid? Edit, my son doesn't know about the water park. It was going to be a surprise. And to be honest, this boy has been to several amusement parks this summer, so it wouldn't be new to him. If Carla and Chris had run it by me, then I would have said yes. Chris doesn't care that I'm gay. He loves my son, who has gay genes in him. Carla said that being pregnant was the worst experience of her life and nothing like what you see on TV. She got her tubes tied before remarrying. As to why I'm being selfish, Ashton has already taken 2 vacations with his mom and Chris. They spent 2 weeks in Greece and took a week-long cruise in Cabo last month. I've been very accommodating, but now I'm expected to give up more of my time. Oh, heck no. Chris can go get his own child. Big brother, my foot. We've finally seen the face of Chris. Not the idiot, OP. Lawyer time. These people are about to start phasing you out. The goal of this couple is to pretend OP never happened, that the kid belongs to the couple that is married. I'd be nuts by now if I was OP. I'm wondering if Chris is infertile and if this was all a convoluted plan to have a baby. That was my thought exactly. Ashton is the child Carla wouldn't have with Chris. I'm guessing it was a big reason he got back together with her. That was his mistake. But Ashton is your son, not his. Chris is the one who should mentor fatherless kids to fill his void. When Carla comes back, you need to sit down and review the custody agreement to remind her that you have the right of refusal. Get it clarified now that you are and will be Ashton's father forever. Update. So Chris did reach out to apologize and I accepted last night. He said he loves Ashton more than anything. In fact, he probably wouldn't be with Carla if Ashton wasn't in the picture. He then asked if he could have Ashton overnight because he was going to take this other kid to Sky Zone and thought Ashton would like to join. I agreed. Anyway, Carla only remarried Chris because he has a trust fund. He gets $10,000 a month. If my son wasn't in the picture, then he'd probably divorce Carla by now. My wife, 26, and I, 27 female, moved to a new house. We thought we'd throw a dinner party and invite both sides of our families. We used to live in a different state for 5 years and now is our opportunity to catch up with our loved ones. My brother-in-law has 2 kids, Daniel, male kindergartner, and Rosie, female toddler. These kids were absolutely horrible during the entire dinner and their parents didn't say a single word or even try to control them. Just to name a few examples, they moved pillows from sofas and chairs, spilled drinks and food on different surfaces, threw an orange on my Persian carpet, sat on it, made it explode and spread the orange on the carpet with their hands, broke 2 glasses and overall ran around shouting and screaming. I was the youngest in the family and I didn't see kids much in my entire life. But this horrified me, and I was so angry at my brother-in-law and his wife for just watching their kids do these things and not saying anything. I told my wife to talk to her brother. She was as angry as I was. However, she said she already talked to him, but he said they were just kids and that's how kids grow up. He also said he wanted them to have a strong sense of self-confidence. While we were all saying goodbye, brother-in-law told his kids, "Now that your aunties live nearby, we'll come to visit often." I said, "No, I don't think that's going to happen very soon." Brother-in-law was confused and asked why. I said, "Because we actually love the peace and comfort in our home, and these guys are a cute tsunami." This made brother-in-law and his wife angry. He called me an entitled brat and told my wife she was a horrible host. My friends think I was too rough, so I wanted to ask, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. These guys are a cute tsunami. That is hands down the nicest way of saying, your kids are a handful and I don't want them in my house that I've ever heard. I'm stealing that. You do not have to put up with children who have not been taught any manners or discipline. This is incredibly disrespectful to you and your wife. Not to mention teaching kids to be inconsiderate. I told them they were invited when they were taught manners. My parents would be horrified if I were to go to someone's house and destroy their property. Send them the cleaning bill. Let them know the next time they come back, a new bill may be given. I would be mortified if my kids did this at my siblings' place. Calling you a brat is rich coming from brother-in-law. You don't need to destroy things to gain a strong sense of self-confidence. What a load of BS. Strong sense of self-confidence equals entitlement. Children need boundaries and positive support. Letting them run wild is not good for their academic life or career. Your brother-in-law and wife are absolutely doing zero parenting. Honestly, I would have sent them a bill for a new Persian carpet too. When my first child, Teen, was born, I was working a 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. job and my husband had about the same hours. When our child was born, she was sick, and the doctor told us that while she would be able to live a somewhat normal life as long as she had regular treatment and checkups, it was clear to both of us that we'd not be able to manage it along with our jobs, and decided that one of us will have to quit. It was easier for me to quit since he was making more money than me while also running his own business. So that way, I could just come work at his whenever I could and won't go crazy being at home all the time. That arrangement had worked well for us until lately. His doctor told him he needed to start working less as the stress wasn't good for his health. I talked to him about doing that and me going back to work. My field is all about connections, and since I now have a lot more of those than when I started, it'll probably take me about 3 to 5 years to get back to my old position instead of the 8 it took me originally. My husband doesn't want to do it, and he said it's selfish of me to tell him to do it as I know how much he loves his job and that I could ruin his career. He and his best friends own the company. Nothing is going to happen to his place there. I know it's selfish to ask him to do that, but I want to go back to working in a place I love, and I only suggested it because of what his doctor said. But I do want to know, am I the idiot? Edit, I didn't ask him to quit work, I asked him to cut his work hours from 12 hours to 6 to 8. The company is his, so he gets a percentage of the money if he works 12 hours, 6 hours, or doesn't work at all. Our money income will only increase if I go back to work. Not the idiot 100%. Not only have you already made the exact sacrifice you're asking him to make for the family, but his doctor told him to do it for his health. You've done nothing wrong. He needs to get his head screwed back on straight and realize that the world doesn't revolve around him when he has a whole damn family to think about. I often see these types of stories, and it's because women tend to make these sacrifices without telling their husbands that it's a sacrifice. I know it sounds like it should be pretty obvious, but sometimes the obvious thing still needs to be said. Otherwise, the husband might just assume that she wanted to do this voluntarily and that it wasn't a real sacrifice to her. I agree. I feel like society in general assumes that the woman in a couple will be the one to sacrifice her career by default when children come along, and that's the reason people don't think about it too much. OP, go back to work anyway. Then your career will be on track when he finishes destroying his health. That will give you the freedom to decide if you want to be carrying his dead weight, created from his stupid decisions, or if you'd rather cut him loose since you can support yourself and the kids just fine without him. We have 3 kids, and when they're almost young teens, I start making one of their chores about finding something to do. For example, make your bed, put dishes away, and find a chore. So the children will look around the house and find a chore. It can be anything. I really did this to teach them to see if something is dirty or needs fixing, and they can go and do it without needing instruction. Sometimes the kid picks something small like vacuuming a rug. Other times they pick something, not realizing how big the task is, reorganizing the game room, for example. Anyways, it teaches them to figure out what needs to be done and then do it. Overall, my oldest kid took her only a little bit to do this. My son just turned the age when I begin implementing this process, and he's struggling. I'm trying to get him to understand. He got so frustrated today that he couldn't see what needed to be done in the house that he locked himself in his room. I've tried to have him write a list of what he thought could be cleaned in the living room. It didn't work. My husband is angry that I'm giving them mental load chores and calling me an idiot. We had an argument, and really, I'm just trying to help their problem-solving skills. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. This is a hugely valuable life skill and will help to fend off weaponized incompetence. But different people do see things differently. Instead of having him write a list about what could be cleaned in the living room, did you try doing a walkthrough of the living room and making it a discussion? Having examples pointed out could make it easier for him. The magazines are scattered across the table. Stack them. There's dust in the corners. Vacuum. The shoes are spread across the entryway. Put them in the shoe rack, etc. I find it funny that your son is struggling and your husband is angry. The mental load disproportionately falls on women and girls, but girls aren't born knowing how to do it. They're taught and conditioned by their families and by society. I would die on this hill with your husband. Continue teaching and expecting this of all your children, but make sure you're tailoring your lessons in ways that each child learns best so it doesn't become a negative that they rebel against. You are the idiot. I don't think mental load is the problem. It's that you're expecting your son to read your mind. You look at the rug and think it needs to be vacuumed, but he might look at it and think it looks tolerably clean. You look at the table and think it needs to be organized, but he left that book there because he's going to resume reading it in half an hour, and he left that cup there because he sips water throughout the day. Basically, you're mad that he doesn't have the same standards as you. Well, he's not you. He doesn't have to internalize your OCD standards. Sure, you're the parent and can make him do chores, but tell him what the damn chores are instead of insisting on him being a clone of you. As someone who struggled with the same thing and was diagnosed at 30, you are the idiot for dismissing the idea of ADHD. My wife and I have been arguing about this for days, and we're at an impasse. It's gotten to the point where I have to check my cameras at work to ensure she doesn't move her sister in while I'm at work. My wife has a sister, Jill, who has a storybook memory. She regularly recounts events in her life that are heavily exaggerated or straight up never happened. For example, she tells people she has a business degree and gives financial advice when she only has an associate degree and has never worked in financing. She also brags about playing basketball in high school and her team going to state but losing to the rich school. Spoiler alert, she didn't play basketball in high school and didn't have the coordination to dribble a ball and walk, much less run and shoot it. She also tells tales of being mistreated by her parents, which I doubt based on my personal involvement. For example, we celebrated Christmas with my in-laws and she posted on her social media about how her mother yelled at her in front of people and told her to eat less to be less fat. I was in the same house with her for a week and never noticed anything like that. The only time I witnessed a confrontation between her and my mother-in-law was when my mother-in-law told her to flush the toilet. She recently made accusations against her employer for being mistreated on her social media instead of going to HR. Someone told on her, and the company did an investigation that included recordings that disproved her story. I don't know the details, but I know she was let go. Now that she's jobless, she can't pay her rent. Jill brings drama wherever she goes with her tales of being mistreated. I work hard and home is my sanctuary. I don't want her to bring any drama to my sanctuary, which brings us to the present. My wife argues that her sister has nowhere else to go, and I pointed out she has several other siblings and parents who refuse to take her in. I understand and love that my wife is a compassionate person, but she can't save the world and I have to draw the line somewhere. I feel bad that my wife cries over this, but not bad enough to allow the emotional tornado that is her sister to live with us. Am I an idiot? Not the idiot. Your sister-in-law will move in and never leave. It will be a nightmare for you. There's a reason that no one else would take her in. Actually, it sounds like multiple valid reasons. The sort of person who will make up easily disprovable claims about her employer, then post them online publicly, is not stable. and will tell lies about you as soon as you become inconvenient in any way. In fact, we know this is the case because she has a history of doing exactly that. This explains the whole problem in a nutshell. OP's sister-in-law could, and probably would, make up accusations that would wreck his life and could likely involve law enforcement. Or if he has children, she might make things up that would get them removed from their home, until the charges were proven false. She likely knows he doesn't want her living there, so she might target him to remove him from his home. Protect yourself, OP. There's no upside to taking a chronic liar into your home. I know this is taking a toll on your marriage, but actually doing this could destroy it outright.